This webinar is intended to kind of show off the cloud collaboration functionality of Autodesk Vault, specifically with the platforms BIM 360 and Fusion 360 or Fusion Team. I'll go over, I'll briefly go over BIM 360 and Fusion as well, and I'll show off the upload and download to cloud and from the cloud. I suppose this is kind of becoming more and more popular lately, and especially in recent days with the current outbreak that's ongoing. So with a lot of people kind of looking at the cloud platforms and working in the cloud platforms as well. So I have a presentation here. I'm just going to go through that, and I'll demo a small bit of the platforms as well. So for those of you unaware, Autodesk Vault is a server-based platform where you store your files, specifically CAD data, be it Inventor, Revit, or AutoCAD, or even some of the Autodesk competitors like SolidWorks. There's integration for those as well. Also stuff like Microsoft Office documents, PDFs, all those can go into Vault as well. Similarly, all those files can be uploaded to either BIM 360 or Fusion. Just to read through this, this is just the heading, the description of this webinar. We'll be just going through the integration to ensure live data is available in BIM 360 or Fusion Team, which is uploaded from Vault. When you have guys outside of your network working on BIM 360 or Fusion Team, working on files in the cloud, the guys in your office can download stuff back into Vault, and they can you can put those on full lifecycle management, essentially mastering and reviewing those files within Vault as you would normally. So, just full screen this. So if you have any questions, throw them into the chat box. Towards the end, I can let somebody speak on the microphone if needs be. So CAD data management. So if you're working with CAD data, managing your data is vital to remain competitive in today's market. There's many options out there depending on your requirements. Do you want your files locked and secure? So that's Vault. Do you want it even validated in an environment? All this is Vault. Or do you want it available in the cloud to people outside your network, outside of your office? That's your BIM 360 and your Fusion Team. In general, if you're using CAD platform at all, you need some kind of a CAD data management system. Some people will just store their CAD files on a network drive within their office, which is entirely feasible. It's just you don't have a whole lot of traceability. You can't see previous versions. You can't really keep a whole lot of a record of who made what changes to what files. So Autodesk have a variety of options, and I'm just going to kind of go through some of them here. So Vault, I'm guessing a lot of you might already be familiar with Vault, since this is a kind of a Vault webinar that explains one of the functionalities of Vault. But just to briefly go through it, Vault is a local server-based CAD data storage solution. Basically, you have a server on your site, and the Vault server application is installed on that, and each CAD user in your office has the Vault client application, and that allows them to check files in and out of the Vault. It includes stuff like revision control, version control, lifecycle management, change control, change orders, ECOs, secure CAD data storage, supports a large variety of CAD softwares as well as Microsoft Office. Also, you can essentially put any file into Vault, but the integration is there for the CAD drawings, the likes of Inventor and AutoCAD, etc., and Microsoft Office as well. So, next page, just some of the features of Vault. So, Vault can be enabled in the cloud. You could install a Vault on a cloud server if needs be. You have Vault Autodesk add-ins for Inventor, AutoCAD, Revit, etc. You have the job processor for creating custom jobs, like automatically publishing PDFs and DWFs. There's some third-party add-ins like SolidWorks, PTC Creo, which used to be Pro Engineer Wildfire, and Bentley MicroStation. Some of Autodesk competitors there, but you can still implement those CAD applications with Autodesk's Vault. The add-ins for the Microsoft Office, distributed teams here. This is referring to having Vault installed on different servers across the globe, and having files replicated between those servers. And then there's some reporting features in there as well. More comprehensive capabilities involved. I won't read through all of these, but search and reuse of your data, concurrent design, having a track of who's working on what files at what time, stuff like that. Just good security, good reporting features, highly customizable. The likes of review and approval and rev control, just good content managing, and that's kind of that stuff. Again, this is just another way of using Vault in terms of allowing different users access to your Vault. And it's just to kind of show a counterpoint to what I'm going to go through here today in terms of cloud collaboration. But you could say replicate a Vault onto various different servers, but you'd still be required to be connected to that network. Now, you can VPN onto a network and get into your Vault. It's a bit slow, but it works. A lot of people are VPNing into their office these days and working from home with, again, the pandemic that's ongoing. So this is just one option. Autodesk Vault is hosted in Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Server. They're just the two server types that are available. They're probably the two most well-known and popular server types. So you can synchronize your files across between these servers. We have done this and set this up for a lot of large global companies. But I guess the webinar we're going to go through today is more about uploading to the cloud. So I'm going to briefly go through Fusion, and then I'm briefly going to go through BIM 360, and that will just give you kind of an idea of what both these cloud platforms are for and how they work, whether either one is useful to you. And then I'll go through the integration between Vault and each of these cloud platforms. So Fusion, Fusion Lifecycle or Fusion Team, if you have the product design and manufacturing collection, you actually have Fusion 360 and Fusion Team already. Fusion Lifecycle is a bit more of an advanced version of Fusion Team. Fusion Team is the cloud platform that you store your drawings in. Fusion is geared more towards the manufacturing and industrial machinery industry and the likes of electronics, automotive industries, anything that's kind of manufacturing based. Conversely, BIM 360, which we'll talk about shortly, is more architecture, engineering, and construction industry based. So this is collaboration from product design and manufacturing, 3D modeling directly in the cloud with Fusion 360. So the difference between Fusion 360 and Fusion Team, and I'll show both of those in a minute, is Fusion Team is the cloud file storage platform. It is the drive on which you're storing your files in the cloud. You can access it via your web browser or other devices. Fusion 360 is a CAD application similar to Inventor that allows you to actually fully CAD in the cloud. And why you would maybe use Fusion 360 over Inventor is Fusion 360 doesn't require a highly well-spec'd PC. Where Inventor you require a decent PC with a good graphics card, a lot of RAM, good processing power. Fusion 360 is a cloud platform, so essentially you're uploading your files to Fusion Team, which is the cloud folder, and you can work and make your CAD changes with Fusion 360. So it supports a variety of 3D models, including Inventor, Fusion 360 files itself, SolidWorks and CATIA files. And with Fusion Lifecycle then you have stuff like property management, bill of material management, change management. If you just have Fusion Team, which is part of the PDMC, you actually just kind of have a version control within the cloud, which is sufficient for most, because if you're working with Vault as well, you might be downloading stuff into your Vault, and that's kind of your master store for your files. So Fusion recently, they added this guy, Autodesk Eagle as well, which is a PCB design CAD application. It's for creating circuit boards, and it has a lot of decent functionality in there. It's kind of like an AutoCAD electrical type program, but it's 3D and it's more for manufacturing. So look into that if you're working on circuit boards. So Solutions, Vault and Fusion. So this is an Autodesk page here. Basically, again, I'm repeating myself, but Vault is your intranet, as in local network. It's you need to be on your local network to access your Vault. You need to have the Vault client application. Feature support for essentially all Autodesk softwares. And Fusion is a cloud-based platform, which is easily accessible no matter where you are in the world. You don't have to be in your office to access Fusion. So before we move on to BIM 360, I'm just going to quickly show off these. So again, yeah, I was just mentioning there, Fusion 360 is part of the product design and manufacturing collection. So just go to that page. So this is Fusion 360, or Fusion Team actually. So it says Fusion Team up here, I know it says Fusion 360 here, but that's actually just the name of the folder that we've created inside in the Fusion Team, essentially to show off the Fusion 360 files that we were working on. So Fusion Team is kind of similar to, say, something like Google Drive or any kind of cloud-based application you're familiar with, but it's much more geared towards CADing, especially in the manufacturing industry. There's projects over here. So this is one of the projects I have that I'm working on. You can go to members here and you can give different rights and roles to different users. So you can have viewers, editors, administrators, etc. within that cloud platform. And you have kind of your folder structure here across the top. So I'm just reloading back to this page here. While that's loading, I'll just show off Fusion 360, which is this guy here. So Fusion 360, again, it's a cloud CAD application similar to Inventor. This isn't a Fusion 360 demo, so basically I won't be doing any CAD in here, but this is what you would be looking at if you're CADing in the cloud environment. This is your CAD application. You have a lot of similar functionalities like extrude, revolve. It's a 3D CADing software similar to Inventor. So just close that off there. Just so you're aware, you have access to all your Fusion Team files here on the left side in this panel, which is where I was showing off these files as well. So back here in Fusion Team, you can preview the files here as well, right within the web browser. You don't need to actually open Fusion 360. So this is just going to view the file that I was just looking at directly in the web browser. Things are a small bit slow here just while I'm on this webinar as well. I'm using a lot of cloud-based tools as well. But here it is loaded now. Again, you're looking at the same file that I was looking at, but more of a preview version of the file. You have the ability to do markups within here, so your CAD operator can make those changes. You have the ability to, you know, put in a text box, tell someone to make this change, and then your CAD operator who's working in Fusion 360 will open this file and make the change. Similarly, you can upload Inventor files to this platform or AutoCAD, and your CAD operators can upload and download these files, make changes within the Fusion Team environment. So that's just a quick overview of Fusion. I'll just move back to the presentation. So BIM 360. So BIM 360 is the AEC, Architecture, Engineering, and Construction version of the platform that Autodesk offer. So Fusion 360 is a modular-based cloud construction management software, increasingly used in engineering, construction, and architecture sectors. It's ideal for large construction projects with multiple engineering companies, allowing collaboration and coordination with complex 3D models from design construction phase. So essentially, BIM 360 is taken off hugely since it was introduced in recent years. Essentially, a customer or a project team who's working on a large building or a large engineering civil project will create a project within BIM 360. They'll invite various different other companies or subcontractors that are working on that project to work in that project as well, essentially allowing cloud collaboration and everyone to work from different offices on the same project, largely incorporated with the likes of Revit, Navisworks, your 3D building softwares. Because it's modular, there's a lot of kind of different modules, as I say. I'll just be showing BIM 360 Docs, which is just your basic cloud platform, but there is a couple of other modules that allow stuff like work order management, coordination, stuff like clash detection in the cloud. A lot of stuff is kind of available in these, and again, this isn't a BIM 360 overview. This is just to give you an idea of what BIM 360 is. So BIM 360 you can use on your mobile or tablet. You have unlimited storage once you obtain a license for BIM 360. They're sold in packets, so you can get them in seats of 100 or 25 or 1,000 users. There's markups and stuff. There's permission access. There's traceability of files. A lot of similar features to the other applications I went over there as well. So again, before I move on, I'll just quickly show BIM 360. So this is BIM 360 here in my web browser. If I select just one of these Revit files, I'll just show off. Again, it's similar. Down the left side, your file tree, and in the middle, then you have the files you can actually view. Again, this is a cloud platform for architecture, engineering, construction industries. Very useful for preview and 3D models. You can have, say, your guys who are working on the MEP, the pipework, the electrical ducting, etc., the HVAC guys, various different companies working on the same kind of large-scale 3D federated model. You can just go into first-person mode here as well and kind of walk around within the building or the model itself. Here, drag this guy really close. So again, simple to use. You can walk around with mouse and keyboard, fairly easy to pan. Similarly, it has likes of measure functionality, markup functionality. So I could just put a big markup here, put a bit of text on. Please move this. And then I can click save, which is up here. And then if I go over here to the left, I can view all the markups that are existing on this file, and anyone else working on this model can see those markups, and your CAD operator can navigate by clicking on markup straight to that markup. So if if I exit the markup view here and I walk a mile away, I can always just double click on the markup and it'll take me right back to that location, and then I'll know what changes are being requested to be made. That markup's still saving there, so I can't navigate to it right now. So yeah, that's the gist of BIM 360. Again, just to go back here, folder structure down the left side should be fairly familiar to you, and any CAD files or even non-CAD files just available right there in the folder structure. You have traceability. You can see previous versions. You have stuff like review and transmissions, and you have issue lists as well, which are kind of issues that are created by people working out on site. You might have your CAD team back in the office actually making those changes, whereas you have your team working out on site, utilizing BIM 360 in the cloud, using tablets or any kind of smart device, like their phone either, and that allows them to work to make markups and create issues, and allow the CAD team then to work on those from the office. Or you could work out in the cloud either. That is possible if you bring your laptop. So that is just a quick overview of BIM 360 there as well. Let's go back to my spreadsheet. So again, this is just kind of an image that highly simplifies exactly what I'm talking about, which is your Vault is your local office-based platform, and your BIM 360 is your cloud based platform. So I think this image kind of tells all. You have these guys in the office working on the CAD drawings, and you have the engineers out on site essentially performing markups, creating issues, reviewing those files, and updating or requesting updates to be made to them in the cloud environment. So this is just kind of an example once again. Here is your Vault. You have compatibility with all file types. You can have a scheduled upload and download to and from the cloud. So I'll go over this shortly. Essentially, you can schedule it so that all the files in a certain project folder are uploaded every night. But you also have the push button, which is if a guy is out on site and he needs a file this second, you can just click upload to cloud, and within a minute or two that file is up there and the guy on BIM 360 can work on it. Similarly, you can manually download, or you can set up a scheduled download. So the guys out on site, then you have stuff like contractors on site, collaborators, clients. You could allow clients access to BIM 360. Again, this is the cloud application on site. The Vault application is in-house. So external design team, client representatives, anyone doing as-builds, external reviewers, etc. Again, this is just kind of how it works. You have, oh, apologies. I'll just full screen this page as well. So you have Vault and you have BIM 360. You can upload and download to and from both. What you need to do is map your project folders top level. So your top level folder here, in this case CDE project, has to exist in both platforms, and in the Vault settings you just map those to each other. So within the Vault Pro application you have this relatively new bar, which is the upload and download to and from cloud buttons. I think they were introduced at the end of 2018, so if you've Vault 2019 and onwards, you will have this functionality. So that's where it became introduced. So these buttons allow you to upload and download manually. Again, you can also set up a scheduled sync, which I've kind of shown off down here. Essentially, you could have it upload every hour, or upload every hour, or every 2 hours. Yeah, over here, just a quick sample workflow. Create a new project folder involved in BIM 360. Ensure the root folders are mapped. Again, I mentioned that already. Upload to BIM 360 using the upload cloud drive. The file is uploaded to cloud, is available in Vault. You could use we could set up a state called upload in to cloud drive in Vault, which essentially would lock the file. It's kind of like having a release version of the file, but it's not going to increase the revision. This is just so that guys in the office are aware that this file is uploaded to the cloud, and that the guys working on this are the guys who are working on this are working on it via the cloud platform. Between each project phase, again, this is AEC based, but if you have concept design, detail design, develop design, these phases are available as states within the Vault as well. So Vault will retain multiple revisions and versions of a file. You can kind of have a periodic download from the cloud if the guys are working exclusively in the cloud for a long period. You could still have a periodic download that would just kind of archive a number of versions of those files, especially when changes are made. Vault can retain multiple versions of file. Alternatively, revisions and versions can be stored separate. So again, your CAD operators in the office have the ability to rev up the files as needs be if they want to up the rev. But every time they download the version, a new version will be downloaded into the Vault, particularly if a change is made to that file. And then once projects are complete, files can be archived in Vault. And you might be familiar with the archive state if you're in the AEC industry, but or this would be referred to as the released or master version of the file in other industries. So here's just a quick video example, which I'll just talk through, of just an upload to the cloud from the Vault application. So essentially, you just click on a file here, click on Upload to Cloud Drive, click the Upload button, and in that window I was choosing which project to upload to. This will create a job in the job queue, so that will be picked up by your job processor, which is installed on your network, and then uploaded via the desktop connector. Some of you might already be familiar with the desktop connector as well. So you see I just refreshed the job queue there. The job is now gone. It's currently in the job processor, or the desktop connector, which you'll be familiar with if you already have Fusion or BIM. So over here in BIM 360, you can see the file is uploaded about a minute or two later. So this file was uploaded at 14:20, and the time that I was recording this was 14:22. So the file is up there within a minute or two. It's fairly straightforward. And then that's just me previewing the file all over again, so I'll need to go through that. So yeah, that's the upload and download to and from cloud features. Just want to quickly go through the architecture of this. It's a bit more technical, but it's, I suppose, just to make you aware of what's necessary. So, and I understand this drawing is a bit cluttered, but I'll just go through the important aspects here. So on the left side you've Vault, on the right you've BIM. On the left you have your Vault server-based application, you have your client PCs that connect to that Vault server. You also have a separate PC, that, and this is advised by Autodesk, you have a separate PC with the Vault job processor and the Autodesk desktop connector. Generally maybe a virtual machine might be set up to do this. The reason you would do this is because if you're updating hundreds of files, you don't really want that load to be bared by your local PC that you're currently trying to work on. You want that to be carried out by a machine that isn't a client machine that a user is trying to CAD with. And then your files are uploaded to or downloaded from the BIM 360 cloud environment, and most of this is just mention of the other various modules of BIM 360, which I won't be going through today. So again, installing the desktop connector. If you're familiar with the desktop connector already, let me just open a File Explorer here for a second. So if you have a File Explorer, if you have the desktop connector installed, which is this guy here, fairly basic application. You can view anything in there that's currently ongoing, or anything that's been uploaded or downloaded to and from the cloud. Once you install those, if you go to this PC, if you have access to a Fusion or a BIM 360, you'll actually get those drives, links to those drives directly right within your PC, and again they appear down here on the left side as well. So again, if I just double click in here, I can go into my own projects, and these files are stored in the cloud and not in on my local drive. So I'm actually navigating Fusion within File Explorer rather than within the web browser, and with that I can actually make changes to files, save them, and then the desktop connector here will kick in and upload those files to the cloud. So back to my spreadsheet. That's just the desktop connector. You might be familiar with it already if you use Fusion or BIM 360 anyway. The job processor then is a Vault application which just carries out tasks. Normally it's used for stuff like PDF generation on file release, or creating DWFs, or creating visualizations of files. But additionally it is also used for uploading and downloading files to and from the cloud. So you do need to install that and enable it on a PC on your network. Mapping the project, I'll go through this quickly before we finish up, and I'll just open Vault to do that. So if I go to, again this is kind of administrative, but it's your Vault administrator will need to know how to do this, especially if they need to manage a number of different projects. So basically I have just a couple of examples in here. You can hit a drop down here and choose to show only your Fusion or your BIM projects. Essentially you're mapping one folder in your Vault folder to one folder in your cloud folder, be it Fusion or BIM, and then with the schedule you can have it upload every so many hours or every day. With the filter you can exclude file types, say you don't want PDFs going up, or say you only want PDFs going up, or DWGs. You can set up those filters within here. And again, you can have upload only, download only, or bidirectional sync, which will just take the latest version depending on which platform it's in, and download it or upload it to or from the cloud. So I know I kind of tore through that. Back to this. So that's kind of it. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to stick on for a couple of minutes, but our half hour is more or less up already. If you're interested in Fusion or BIM, we do have separate webinars running on those. Some have ran already, but you might find some of those are on our YouTube page as well. Again, this is neither an introduction to Fusion or BIM, nor is it an introduction to Vault, but it's merely to make you aware of the ability to have a Vault project that is also available on Fusion or BIM 360 and have upload and download to and from those platforms. So thanks for your time. I see the sound went there briefly earlier on. I hope you can all still hear me in the chat box. If anyone has any questions, I'll stick on for a minute or two. Feel free to put a message into the chat box if you need to. Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for your time.